We have a new trailer showcasing some of the exotics, weapon crafting, and I want to talk about some of the weapons and exotics that are going on here. They first start off with the crafting table. This actually exceeds what I thought it would be. It looks like you can actually fine-tune, fine-pick everything you want, from the barrel all the way down to the masterwork. It's kind of funny on the barrel here of this auto rifle, they have salt, then mercury. As the trailer starts, they talk about a lost relic on Mars with the crafting table, and then they bring up mercury, so we'll see how all that goes. Then we get into the weapons. There are some good ones here. First up, the Arc Grand Overture. Season pass is required for it. Slug launcher charges full auto missiles. So I would assume it has a charge like a fusion rifle, at least that's how it sounds. Hold, release, and then from the looks of it, it fires extremely fast and aggressive missiles, kind of like Wardcliffe coil style. Obviously, we don't know what kind of overall damage this is going to do, but it kind of looks like a cross between Eyes of Tomorrow and Wardcliffe, multiple projectiles. And for a second here, is that a Hive Hunter? The Parasite. Doesn't say anything about needing a season pass. Worm launcher with increasing damage. This is what an exotic is all about. It literally yeets a little worm. No idea how we store the worm ammo, but I don't care. It has potential. It says worm launcher with increasing damage, so that could mean a couple things. It has like a Curse Thrall explosion, and maybe that there's a pool that it leaves that deals more damage the longer the enemies stay in it. But there's also a possibility that the worm can kind of work like Wither Horde. Straight shoot the worm into an enemy, explodes from the inside. We don't know what we don't know. It looks unique and it looks good. Osteo Striga. Swarming projectiles trigger a toxic burst. We see it hip firing the poison projectiles, and this right here, this is the necrotic grip explosion. So there are two possibilities right here. Number one, there's a chance that this exotic SMG can spread the poison like necrotic grip. And the second thing, there might be a chance that this exotic somehow complements the necrotic grips. The frame looks like a 900 RPM, that lightweight frame. It says that swarming projectiles create a toxic burst. Maybe in hipfire, it has the swarming projectiles that seek out, or they kind of get next to enemies and explode, spread poison. And maybe when you actually aim down sights and get a kill, I wouldn't be surprised if it works like Outbreak. Maybe those toxic swarming projectiles come out of the enemy. I'm very interested. I'm all in on this one. We then catch a glimpse of what I'm calling the Mastodon Titan. I like it. And the Titan Glaive is the edge of action. Place protective shield. It looks like a mini Ward of Dawn. This might be one of the best glaives we're about to cover, because Void 3.0 is coming. This is a Void glaive. There's going to be reworks, and then they've already said that the glaive will have some artifact love, and I'm sure that the artifact, and with the Titan Sentinel trees, there's something here, something strong. It might be the best one. And just like we've seen combinations of Thorn and Necrotic Grip, would it be a reach to think that something like Helm of State 14 would work in there? If so, that's going to be very good. Warlock appears to have the Solar Glaive, Edge of Intent, a healing turret. Assembler, Lunamane's Rejoice. It's a turret that's going to seek out heals. Like, what if you had Assemblers, this Glaive, a Stasis Warlock with Bleach Watcher turrets, and then like an Arc Lock for the Arc Souls? That's a lot of AI on the squad right there. That goes for PvE and PvP. It's a simple act with a big gain, and again, I wonder if like the healing is going to proc something like Benevolent Dawn on Middle Tree. If it does, Middle Tree got even better for PvE. And as with all things in Destiny, Titan usually gets the protection, Warlock gets the healing, the Hunter's getting the damage, Edge of Concurrence, Tracking, Chain Lightning. This looks like the only offensive glaive. It looks like it's sent out like a waveform grenade launcher. I don't know if it's how it's positioned, but it does look similar to Chain Lightning, like Dune style, Arc Web style. Probably going to be pretty good. Then we get a glimpse of two new weapons, and to me, this looks like a 180 RPM hand cannon from Iron Banner. It looks like Trust to me. I could be wrong, could be at 140, but the barrel and mag really resembles a 180 in my eyes. And what do you think about that? Maybe you get an Iron Reach one because of a 180. This abilities are usually pretty good on those. We'll have to wait and see. The Hunter has a Viced, what appears to be SMG, never a bad thing, and hopefully the armory weapons come back more and more. Hake, Vice, Suros, Tex Mechanica, those weapon identities all have a great feel to them, and hopefully we see more of that. The main exotics, here's the deal. Before I start this, I'm not really gonna knock anything until I try it, ever. But from the looks, Hunters may have got the short end of the stick because the Titan chest is the Hoarfrost Z. Stasis Wall replaces Barricade. Excellent exotic. From the surface, pop that Stasis, kind of glacier grenade, but it's a barricade. You immediately have Resist, Rhyme. You can do a lot with the fragments and aspects. Specifically the Resist and Rhyme. You have 3 avenues to get those now. The Titan charged melee, the glacier grenade, and now the barricade. And then you add on a headstone weapon, it's looking good. Warlock, the Osmiomancy gloves, additional cold snap with enhanced seeking. I immediately think of dual Bleak Watcher charges. Add in a demo weapon, this is looking pretty good. This is going to be good in PvE for sure, even if you use the cold snaps in there for duels, especially with the Warlock kit, with the chain freezing. And the Crucible, it could be interesting, there are builds to make for it. Hunter, the Blight Ranger helmet. Again, I'm not going to knock anything fully until I try it, but already it kind of feels like it's being overshadowed. Because with Arc Strider, you have the Raiden Flux, Though it's not Middle Tree Deflect, it's a solid exotic for the Arc Strider. You then have Raiju's Harness, where you can cancel the super, conserve energy all around when blocking. This states that reflected projectiles deal increased damage. Now, the only reason I'm not fully against it is for PvE. The enemies we're facing are going to have light abilities. Who knows? Maybe a champion just keeps chunking Nova Bombs and Blade Barrage, whatever. If you can pop this, deflect it back for the increased damage, and melt them, it may be worth it. In the Crucible, the super itself already does this. Any super that you deflect is going to down them. And usually players that you're walking down with the deflect up, they're done anyway. You're just walking them down, get close enough, and then you're going to light attack them. And let's remember that the Arc Strider has Whirlwind Guard. While you're wielding your Arc Staff to deflect incoming projectiles, deflecting projectiles triples the Arc Staff damage for a short time. So it could be a world where you can deflect something, maybe whatever you're throwing back, let's say a Nova Bomb, does triple damage. You have the guard up, then you go in with your Arc Staff, it also now has triple damage. That's kind of how I think about it. Otherwise, like in the Crucible, you might get a cheeky kill every now and again, but probably not. And for these exotics real quick, it's kind of weird to show them in PvP. I would like to have seen the Titan Barricade, the Cold Snaps, the Deflect in PvE. And as it's closing, I do find it hilarious that a worm is yeeted right on in with them. Classic. I'm excited though. Some of the exotics look like they're going to heavily rely on build crafting. I'm all for that. There's probably some powerful things to explore. Exotic weapon-wise, they all look good. The glaives look good. I do want to know more about weapon crafting, and DMG said on Twitter that this week at Bungie, they're going to talk about the weapons. I do have a couple more thoughts on weapon crafting. DMG just put out a tweet. From what I understand so far, and remember, is that there's a set number of weapons that's going to be in there for crafting. At a later date, there's a possibility more weapons are going to be added. For weapon crafting, it's all going to depend on what they throw in there. And I always like to think best outcome, worst outcome. It kind of feels like a blessing and a curse in some ways. Because I want everyone to have their role. That's what this game's about. I think that it's going to be a grind. They've already made adjustments and phased out some things because of the cost it's going to have with the upcoming crafting. It's really good because I'm losing my mind over here trying to get a good Wastelander that I want. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way about a lot of weapons. Could be Demolitionist, Adrenaline Junkie, a lot of perk combinations. Could be a perfect role. Maybe you have a reload masterwork and you're still grinding for the perfect masterwork. You know exactly what I mean. This allows us to finally focus and grind for exactly what we want. But on the other end, the PvP end, really think about this. There's a possibility here that it could have a bad outcome. Because remember, we can focus exactly what we want. At least it looks like it. That's why I said I was surprised at the beginning of the video. From the barrel all the way down to the masterwork. That's a good thing, because you can finally curate a role for you. But what if we get into a situation where something's really strong? Let's use an example of what we have right now with the main ingredient, specifically firmly planted tap the trigger. Strong perks. If something like that is within weapon crafting, everyone that wants it will get it. That goes for any and all weapons. Everyone is going to be running around with Godroll Multi-Mox, Godroll Palindromes. Those are just examples, but you get it. They're going to be curated to peak, the cream of the crop. The roll of rolls for a weapon will be grinded for and used. Well, let's say that takes like 10 hours of game investment time. Just an example. Be ready, PvP players, because a lot of things that are strong are about to be at peak. And when they're at peak, what if there's backlash? Again, I'm bringing up tap the trigger on a fusion rifle. Is Bungie just going to nerf it? Are they just going to ghost the perk like they did with like opening shot on certain shotguns or quick draw, whatever it is, just replace the perk, rework it? Because what if someone grinds for that 10, 11, like, long time, curating their perfect role? Or maybe they see a weapon that is just very strong. They decide, you know what? I'm getting that. I'm grinding for that. That's my main focus. But what after all that time, all that grinding time, the perk gets nerfed or the weapon archetype gets nerfed? It's a possibility. Just be ready. It's something that I've thought about, and I hope the DMG gives a lot of insight on the weapon crafting process. I'm really looking forward to the time investment, if they have an idea of what that's going to be. And with the time investment, what about a bad outcome, like the one I talked about? I wanted to get that conversation going. But what do you think about the trailer? Are you whelmed? Are you underwhelmed? I think it looks good so far. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about it, and I'm also going to do a commentary shortly, probably tomorrow, about the Sony and Bungie deal. There's a lot of things with that, and honestly, the Sony side of things are a little bit more interesting. I want to talk about Sony's end. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.